On a day with some big moves in the NHL, the Montreal Canadiens make a sneaky good trade, landing a former CHL Defenceman of the Year, a guy who's putting up a lot of points as a defenseman in the AHL. We gotta dive into this most recent Kent Hughes move, plus an article from The Athletic by Arpen Basu highlights some big implications that Arber Xhekaj's development has on the future of all Montreal Canadiens prospects. And finally, as the trade rumors are heating up, we have a crazy one we want to share that involves Jake Evans and David Savard. So stick around for all that on this episode of Habs Digest. But Jesse, with so many guys getting moved around, so many trade talks, people are going to have to find new spots to live. And what better spot to do that in Canada than Rentals.ca? They've been supporting our national team defend their home ice in international competition, and they've been helping thousands of Canadians find their home ice all across the country.
Whether it's Montreal to Victoria to Ottawa to Elmer, Quebec, Rentals.ca has you covered. We know that they're the best site in Canada. If you're looking for homes, if you're looking for condos, apartments, check out their website. It's super easy to use. Even if you're just looking to upgrade, even if you're just curious, they have the best listings here in Canada. We all need a place to live. Rentals.ca has got you covered.
Absolutely. From coast to coast, find your home ice with Rentals.ca. Check out their website in the pinned comment or description down below. You guys know where to find it. Shout out to Rentals.ca for helping us and helping you find your new home ice. Jesse, Let's get excited for what's going on in this video. And I want to start first with, this is one of the crazy ones. This comes from Puckpedia. People can put in their own trade proposals and stuff, and there's an article written about it. I just wanted to highlight this because we're talking a lot about Jake Evans and David Savard trade value. Jake Evans' value skyrocketing recently. Some people thinking this is a good time to get a lot for him. Some people hoping for, not a replacement of that Arturi Lehkonen situation. Just want to get your quick thoughts on this. Don't want to dwell too much on this, but first of all, a Habs and Leafs trade to me is an absolute no-no. This is not something I ever want to have happen. But this proposal sends Savard and Evans to expiring contracts, to be fair, who could re-sign in Montreal in the summer no matter what, just like Plekanec did when he was traded to the Toronto Maple Leafs, with the Habs getting Nick Robertson, a 2027 first and a 2027 fourth. Here's my thing, Jesse. I think a guy like Evans or Savard, if things keep up, they could both fetch first-round picks or solid prospects, which is why, objectively, value-wise, this isn't insane to me. However, Nick Robertson is 5'9". He's having a brutal season with the Leafs with 2 goals in 22 games and 0 assists. I don't know. I think the value for these guys is a decent prospect, which in a vacuum Robertson is, even though he's having a terrible season, and a first-round pick, right? But again, a trade with the Leafs is just a big no-no. I don't want to move Evans. I think Evans and Savard have a lot of value, even though they'll be UFAs at the end of the year. But we're starting to see these things pick up, and what I am happy to see is that people seem to have a higher impression of their value.
Absolutely. And Evans is just lifting up his value with performances like last night, especially on that PK, right? Kind of proven lethal, on pace for a career high in points. And we know that Jake Evans is the most used player on the penalty kill by Martin St. Louis. So trusted on a penalty kill. That's 9th in the entire league, humming along at an 81.8% success rate. So this guy, we just know it's a no-no of trading a player with that kind of heart and soul, kind of in his prime. Despite the return of some good things there, we know that Nick Robertson's not fitting that bill in terms of size that we're looking for our top 6. Sorry, Leafs Digest.
Yeah, sorry, Leafs Digest. Sorry, boys. Now, here's the thing with Evans. He is a UFA, and he has a ton of value. And so no matter what, he's going to have to go into negotiations with the Habs and other teams at the end of this season. So if you can get some good value from him, you can get a first-round pick or, a good prospect or a prospect and something else for Evans, who's one of the best penalty killers in the league, instead of just letting him go for nothing. That fits Hughes and Gorton's MO, but Jesse, I just can't see him doing it. Not in this case. But let us know if you think that's about the right value for Evans and Savard. And so we're going to move quickly on to the next topic. And I want to talk a bit about an article from Arpen Basu here today, Jesse. He said Arber Xhekaj's development's an example for other Canadians to follow. And I want to just dive into a couple things here. So back when Xhekaj was struggling with his confidence, with his reads, just about everything, he spent a lot of time watching video with Canadiens director of hockey development, Adam Nicholas. And the player they spent that time watching largely was Devils defenseman Brendan Dillon. And Xhekaj himself said, he said, I accidentally wrote, we watched his clips. He plays hard. He's a big guy, finishes hits, leads with his stick. Go stick on puck. His positioning's good. He's in the right spots. He keeps it simple, and he's had a long career. A guy like that's definitely a guy I should be watching, and I can't necessarily disagree. Dylan's approaching 1,000 games. He's a good example. For a player who's spent essentially his entire junior career physically dominating forwards defensively, watching how Dylan does it gave Xhekaj an indication of the balance between physicality and defensive details. And he finally says, There's a lot of Habs prospects coming up soon, Jesse, and this kind of idea for developing makes a lot of sense to me, and I think this is a really good point. We're seeing these results with Xhekaj, and I think we could see this type of result coming for a lot of other prospects in the coming years as well.
And great job by the whole organization of finding models for players that we really want to develop, for them to kind of follow and kind of shape their game after. So I've often reminded myself, Josh, through this rebuild, that management knows what they're doing when we see some progress with a player, whether, it's a Xhekaj, whether it's a Caufield, the list goes on. There's often work behind the scenes of why this is happening. So to kind of find a player to kind of shape yourself after, watching those clips, but now it's progressed. Where now Xhekaj he's watching those clips on himself to kind of further refine his game. He's getting trusted on a couple more times. We noticed in the game last night where he's on the penalty kill. Martin St. Louis could have taken him out at critical situations. Xhekaj's there. And we've heard, Josh, those rumors. Isn't there a rift between Martin St. Louis and Xhekaj? And I think him keeping out there shows that no, Martin St. Louis wants Xhekaj to succeed. He wants him to do well, but he's holding him to a higher standard just because we know what kind of player he can really be for this team. So really just amazing to see that he's putting in that work to know, okay, what kind of player do I need to be? What do I need to do? I think this is an exactly amazing model. I love a little bit more of a simple game for Xhekaj because that's what effective, that's what works. So obviously we want to see him continuing to do this because we want Xhekaj around for the long term.
Oh, for sure. And he's been showing it's been working so far. I mean, not only has he gained management and coaches' trust of putting him out there in these crucial penalty kill situations, he's gaining fans' trust. He takes still the occasionally irresponsible penalty, he got baited by Zachary Leroux in the last game, and it was okay, fair enough, it's going to still happen, but overall he's been much more disciplined, and he doesn't seem scared anymore, right? At first it felt like it was either the sheriff, the guy who's going to physically dominate you, take some bad penalties, rough people up, and then he went from that all the way to the conservative Xhekaj who was afraid to make a mistake, but he's gaining that confidence, like he himself says. True. He's gaining confidence from us, from the coaching staff. Really good thing to see. And I think that's going to pay some big dividends for the future prospects, like a guy like Owen Beck who could come up, like a guy like Filip Mesar who has not been developing at that same speed, though this year he was good before getting injured. There's guys that we can do the same technique with that I think will pay off. And Jesse, there might just be a new guy that we could do this technique with, as the Habs make a trade today. A bit out of nowhere, in the middle of the Jacob Trouba trade negotiations, as he gets sent to Anaheim. I cannot believe Anaheim has Radko Gudas and Jacob Trouba. Every NHL fan's nightmare. However, Montreal makes a little trade here. They acquired defenseman Noel Hoefenmayer from the Edmonton Oilers in exchange for forward Jacob Perreault. Just to give you guys an idea of how good this trade is. Look, let's just be candid here. I don't see Noel Hoefenmayer making the Habs. Not now, maybe in the future, maybe, but I don't really see it. This seems like an AHL move to me. But Jesse, Jacob Perreault, he had 0 points in 6 games for Laval this year. He's a former first-round pick. We traded for him just last year. 5 points in 5 ECHL games. Okay, right, he's not that much. I think we traded Jan Mysak for him or something like that. But Noel Hoefenmayer, this guy was a former CHL Defenceman of the Year with the Ottawa 67s in 1920. He had 26 goals, 82 points in 58 games. Since the start of the 22-23 season in the AHL, Jesse, he has 63 points in 123 games, including 19 goals. This is such a boost to Laval's already really good D-core. I don't see how this is a bad move at all. This is such a good move, getting a very solid, high-scoring defenseman on Laval while exchanging your ECHL forward that just can't make it work. I'm excited.
And people who know this player really, really like him, right? So obviously this is an AHL move, but the Laval Rocket are doing really well. And this is Kent Hughes' way of the organization of just kind of rewarding them and adding some even more firepower there at 25 years of age. Very questionable whether he ever gets kind of that NHL call-up, which is interesting. Some players are like that, right? Where this is an amazing AHL player, putting up phenomenal points for defensemen. Sometimes they just can't quite crack that NHL level. He's yet to make his NHL debut. We're not completely ruling it out because obviously he's playing very good hockey on his end. Just kind of seems to be in between right now. I'm still here for it all the same, though. Laval's doing good. We want to reward them. We're going for it this year with Laval, so really like this addition.
Laval already has a very solid left side on defense, too. I mean, as we know, Adam Engstrom's leveling up, but they got other guys there as well, like William Trudeau. There's a lot of great stuff going on down there, but Noel Hoefenmayer's a guy I have a lot of experience with. In 2021-22, when he was on the Newfoundland Growlers, I had season tickets. So while I was living in St. John's, I saw every Noel Hoefenmayer home game, and my gosh, this guy can play. And sometimes when you have the eye test, it's different. Like, even in the ECHL at the age of, 21, 22, he would have been, 22, 23 years old? This guy looked like a man amongst boys sometimes, and he could get a bit physical too, but mostly that offensive upside, Jesse. He's a smooth player, and I just think he makes a good addition. Not every trade that the Habs make has to be for the NHL team, but even boosting up your AHL team by trading a guy who's not making it work in Laval for a guy that's been a bona fide AHL, like, for a defenseman, an offensive, like, I don't know if I want to say star, but a very good offensive defenseman in the AHL. Like, this just sends a message, like you said, to Laval, but also it gives Laval that kind of a little bit of a break if someone needs to go to Montreal on an emergency basis or what have you. They have a guy who they know can step up. So I just think some depth moves like this are very important at times.
It's a move in the right direction. And, Laval definitely deserves it at this point in time. Obviously, I grew up watching a lot of Ottawa 67's games as well. So nice to have an alum there. And he's going to have a chance with Montreal. Like, obviously, it's still going to be an upward climb. But you have to feel, if he keeps playing well, do you think he gets an opportunity at some point, Josh, or what do you think?
I think our defense is just too deep right now. Like, I think it's tough. It just is what it is. Like, you never know with the development of these guys, but I think this is pretty much purely an AHL move. I mean, even on the left side, like, look at who you have in the NHL right now. You got Matheson, you got Guhle, you got Struble, you got Xhekaj, and then even down in Laval, you got guys like Trudeau, who's good, although Hoefenmayer could be higher, but then you got Adam Engstrom. You got guys who are just getting better and better, and you never know who's coming. But what do you think? You think maybe if we got some injuries, maybe near the end of the season where they're calling some guys up?
Maybe, but we're getting stacked. That's the good thing, though. Probably not because of how the defense is looking right now. Obviously, those guys that you named very much ahead of them on that depth chart, but that's exciting. That's what we want for the Habs and Laval.
It's awesome. I just really like this trade. I just love when there's a guy that I have watched a lot in person as they were younger come to the team. So let us know your thoughts on this down below. Maybe we sold you a bit more on Noel Hoefenmayer. Again, don't expect him to play for Montreal, but expect this to be a significant boost to an already amazing Laval team. That'll do it for this episode of Habs Digest. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Thank you all for watching so much, and thank you to Rentals.ca for sponsoring this video. I'm Josh Gosse, my co-host, Jesse Poirier. We'll catch you in the next one.